More than 500,000 people could be forced to leave the UK by 2025. Yes, you heard that right. Thousands of families, students, and even long-term workers are suddenly at risk of losing the life they've built here. But why? What exactly is happening in 2025 that could decide whether you can stay or whether you'll be packing your bags? For some, it's because of visa rule changes. For others, it's the expiry of hidden agreements most people don't even know exist. And for many, it's simply because life in the UK is becoming too expensive and uncertain to continue. The truth is, 2025 won't just be another year. It could be the biggest turning point for immigration in a generation. And while some people will get to stay, thousands will be told their time is up. So here's the question. Are you safe, or could you be next? Stay with me, because in this video we'll break down the 10 biggest reasons why people are leaving the UK in 2025. And the answers may shock you. Number 1. Expiry of post-Brexit arrangements. When the UK left the European Union, special protections were put in place so that EU citizens already living here could adjust. Many were given what's called pre-settled status, a temporary right to live, work, and study in the UK. But here's the catch. Those rights were never permanent, and in 2025, a huge number of those agreements are set to expire. This means thousands of EU citizens who didn't upgrade their pre-settled status to settled could suddenly lose their legal right to remain in the country. Imagine building your entire life here, your home, your job, your children's education, only to face the possibility that it could all vanish because of one missed deadline or one rejected application. The government has warned people for years to apply for settled status, but not everyone did. Some didn't realize how urgent it was. Others struggled with paperwork. And now the clock is ticking. For those affected, the choice is painful: scramble to meet complex requirements or prepare to leave the UK. And the harsh truth: many simply won't make it through the system in time. So while Brexit may feel like old news to some, its aftershocks are still hitting hard in 2025, and this is just the beginning of why thousands could be forced out. Number 2. Visa rule changes. One of the biggest reasons thousands may have to leave the UK in 2025 is because of new visa rule changes. The government has already announced stricter requirements for people coming on work visas, and these changes directly affect those who are already here. For example, the minimum salary threshold for a skilled worker visa is going up. That means jobs that once qualified for sponsorship may no longer make the cut. Imagine working hard for years in the UK, only to suddenly discover that your salary no longer meets the rules, and your visa renewal is denied. This especially affects industries like care work, hospitality, and logistics, where wages are often lower. Many of the workers who keep these sectors running may find themselves ineligible to stay, despite the fact that the UK relies heavily on their contribution. And it's not just low-wage jobs. The shortage occupation list, the list of jobs where the UK allows lower requirements, could be revised again. If your job disappears from that list, your future in the country could instantly become uncertain. The real question is, would your job still qualify under the new system? Or could you be one of the many forced to leave? What do you think about these changes? Do you agree with the stricter rules, or do you believe they will push away valuable workers the UK needs? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on how these changes could affect you. Number 3. Student visa restrictions. Picture this. You've just been accepted to a UK university. It's your dream. You pack your bags, say goodbye to your family, and step into a new life of lectures, libraries, and late-night study sessions. But then reality hits. You're told your partner and children can't join you because of the new restrictions on student visas. For thousands of international students, this is no longer a what-if. It's their new reality. From 2025, many students are finding that the ability to bring dependents, a spouse, children, or even close family, is being heavily restricted. The government says it's to reduce migration numbers, but the personal cost is enormous. Imagine trying to complete a demanding master's degree while your young child is thousands of miles away. Imagine the emotional weight of knowing you can't see your partner for years, the mental stress, the financial strain of paying for 2 separate households, and the constant uncertainty about what comes next. It's overwhelming. And the story doesn't end with graduation. Many students who plan to settle in the UK after their studies are now reconsidering. If the first step of their journey already feels like isolation and sacrifice, why stay any longer? So while universities proudly attract talent from all over the world, the visa restrictions are quietly pushing some of that talent right back out. For many students, 2025 isn't about opportunity. It's about choosing between education and family, and that's a decision no one wants to face. Number 4. Cost of living crisis. You don't need to look at official reports to know life in the UK has become brutally expensive. Just step into a supermarket, glance at your energy bill, or try finding an affordable place to rent. For many migrants, the cost of living crisis is no longer just a headline. It's the final push to leave. Take housing, for example. In cities like London, Manchester, or Birmingham, rents have climbed so high that entire families are crammed into tiny flats just to survive. Add on council tax, transport costs, and soaring food prices, and it starts to feel impossible to build any kind of stable future. Then there's energy. Heating your home through the winter has turned into a luxury. Migrant families, especially those sending money back home, often face a heartbreaking choice. Keep the house warm or keep supporting loved ones abroad. And it's not only about money, it's about dignity. When working full-time still doesn't cover your bills, when every paycheck disappears the moment it arrives, when survival replaces the dream that brought you here, people begin to ask, why stay? That's why many migrants in 2025 are deciding enough is enough. Some are returning to their home countries where life is more affordable. Others are moving to places like Germany or Canada where salaries stretch further and housing is more reasonable. The UK once felt like the land of opportunity. But for thousands facing today's prices, it now feels like a country where even hard work isn't enough to live. Number 5. NHS staff shortages and visa uncertainty. The National Health Service has always relied on international workers. Walk into any hospital or care home and you'll hear accents from every corner of the world. But here's the problem. Many of these workers are in the UK on temporary visas, and by 2025, thousands of them may find themselves without a future here. Recruitment drives brought in nurses, carers, and doctors from abroad to help fill critical shortages. They came with hope for stability, for a secure career, for the chance to make a difference. Yet the very system they're helping to keep alive now leaves them uncertain about their own lives. Visa extensions are not guaranteed. Rules keep changing. And the reality is harsh. Workers who have spent years caring for patients might suddenly be told their time is up. Imagine dedicating your skills, your energy, even your health to supporting the NHS during its toughest years, only to face the possibility of being pushed out when you're no longer needed. This uncertainty doesn't just affect the workers, it affects everyone. Hospitals could lose staff overnight, care homes could be left struggling, and patients could face even longer waiting times. For those caught in the middle, it feels like an impossible gamble. Do you risk staying, hoping the rules change in your favor? Or do you take control and move to a country that offers more security and respect for your contribution? For many NHS staff, 2025 isn't about new opportunities, it's about survival, both for their careers and their families. Number 6. Political climate. Sometimes it's not the laws themselves that drive people away, but the atmosphere they create. In the UK, the political climate around immigration has grown colder, and by 2025, many migrants say they no longer feel truly welcome. It's not hard to see why. Headlines filled with heated debates about cutting numbers, politicians promising tougher borders, media stories painting migrants as a burden. Even if someone has lived here for years, paid taxes and contributed to society, the constant rhetoric chips away at their sense of belonging. This feeling can be subtle but powerful. It's in the hesitation before speaking your native language in public. It's in the worried glance when someone asks where you're really from. And it's in the quiet conversations within migrant communities, questions like, do they even want us here anymore? The irony is striking. Many of the people now feeling this pressure are the same ones who kept the UK going through crises. The healthcare workers, the delivery drivers, the farmhands. Yet instead of stability, they face suspicion and shifting rules. For families, this creates a painful dilemma. Do you raise your children in a place where you always feel like an outsider? Or do you start again somewhere that offers a clearer sense of acceptance and security? By 2025, for thousands, the answer is clear. It's not just about paperwork, it's about dignity. And for many, the UK's political climate makes staying feel less like home and more like a constant fight to prove they belong. Number 7. End of certain work permit schemes. In 2025, one of the biggest shake-ups for migrant workers in the UK will come from the closure of temporary and seasonal work permit schemes. These schemes were originally designed to plug gaps in industries that struggled to find local workers, particularly agriculture, food processing, and hospitality. On paper, they were never meant to be permanent. Workers were brought in for a short period, expected to fill critical shortages, and then return home. But over time, many of these workers built lives here. They rented homes, formed friendships, and in some cases even started families. The issue is simple. Once the permits expire and the schemes are scaled back or scrapped, thousands will no longer have a legal pathway to stay. No extensions, no transitions into permanent visas, just an abrupt end. The consequences ripple far beyond the individuals. Farms that depend on seasonal pickers could face severe labor shortages, threatening food supply chains. Restaurants and hotels may find it nearly impossible to keep up with demand. The UK economy has quietly leaned on these workers, but in 2025, that support system may vanish overnight. For the workers themselves, the message feels stark. You were welcome when we needed you, but now your time is over. Some will return home willingly, others will face heartbreaking choices, leave behind a life they've built, or stay without legal protection. This is why the end of certain work permit schemes isn't just an administrative change. For thousands of people, it's the end of a chapter they hoped could last longer. Number 8. Skilled worker criteria changes. Meet Arjun. He moved to the UK 3 years ago on a skilled worker visa. He's a mid-level engineer, earning a decent salary, paying taxes, and supporting his family back home. He thought he was safe. After all, he was skilled and in demand. But in 2025, everything changes. The government is revising the points-based system, and suddenly the definition of skilled shifts. Jobs that were once eligible may no longer qualify. Salary thresholds are climbing higher. Occupations are being reshuffled, and some are disappearing from the list altogether. For people like Arjun, this means their visa renewal could be denied, not because they stopped working, but because the rules moved the goalposts. Imagine giving your best years to a country, only to be told your career no longer meets the criteria. It feels less like a system and more like a trap. The painful part: these changes don't just affect individuals, they affect families. Spouses and children who built lives in the UK may suddenly be told they can't stay. Dreams of permanent residency vanish in an instant. And it's not just engineers like Arjun. Teachers, healthcare staff, IT workers, entire groups may find themselves excluded by new requirements they never saw coming. This constant shifting of the rules creates one clear message for many migrants. Stability in the UK is an illusion, and when the criteria for belonging change overnight, thousands are left wondering if 2025 will mark the end of their journey here. Number 9. Post-study work visa expiry. For thousands of international students in the UK, the clock is running out. The post-study work visa, often called the graduate route, was supposed to be a bridge, giving graduates 2 years after finishing their degree to find a job and settle into their career. But for many, 2025 is the year that bridge comes to an abrupt end. Here's the problem. 2 years sounds like plenty of time, but it disappears quickly. Finding a job that meets the skilled worker visa criteria is harder than it looks. Not every employer is willing to sponsor. Not every salary meets the threshold. And the competition is brutal. Imagine spending tens of thousands of pounds on tuition, working sleepless nights to complete your degree, only to realize that when your 2-year visa runs out, there's no path forward. Your choice is narrow to two: land a qualifying job immediately, or pack your bags and leave. For many, this creates overwhelming stress. Students are juggling applications, interviews, and rejection emails, all while watching the calendar countdown. Families who invested everything into their children's education are left asking, what was it all for? By 2025, thousands of international graduates will face this exact situation. Some will succeed, but many will be forced out. Not because they lack talent, but because the system gave them too little time and too many hurdles. The graduate visa was meant to open doors. For many, it now feels like a door closing fast, with no second chance once it shuts. Number 10. Voluntary exits due to better opportunities abroad. Not everyone leaving the UK in 2025 will be pushed out by visa expiries or government rules. Some will walk away by choice. Why? Because other countries are offering something the UK no longer can: security, stability, and opportunity. Take Canada, for example. Its immigration system is transparent, with clear paths to permanent residency. Australia and New Zealand continue to attract skilled workers with not just visas but lifestyles, sunshine, space, and family-friendly policies. Germany is opening doors to international talent with easier residency routes. Compared to these options, the UK's shifting rules and high living costs feel like a gamble many aren't willing to take. For a nurse who feels unappreciated in the NHS, Canada looks like a fresh start. For an IT specialist tired of meeting new visa criteria, Germany feels like a safer bet. For families exhausted by the cost of living, Australia's balance of wages and lifestyle is too tempting to ignore. And so, some migrants are choosing to leave before the system leaves them stranded. It's not an easy decision. After all, many came to the UK chasing dreams. But when another country offers a clearer future, staying starts to feel like settling for less. By 2025, this voluntary exit wave could become just as significant as the forced departures. Because sometimes, leaving isn't about being pushed out. It's about reaching for something better. And for thousands, that better is waiting just across the border, in countries ready to welcome their skills and ambition. So tell me, if you had to leave the UK tomorrow, where would you go and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you found this video valuable, check out our last upload for even more insights. We pour hours of effort into bringing you the truth. So please, support us with just one click. Hit subscribe. It means the world to us.